Hello, Stu. How are you?
Great, Glenn. How are you?
I am really good. It's Friday. I thought we'd go over some of the big stories of the week, and one of them that we really haven't had a chance to address this week is Ian Andre Roberts. He is, at the beginning of the week, he is that poor guy that ICE is just going in. Here he is, the superintendent of schools for Des Moines Public Schools. He is well known. He is well qualified. He's a upstanding member of our community, and ICE just comes in, guns a-blazing, wearing masks, no indication of even who they are, and they just take him.
Yeah, I've read that. I love, a sleepy city is moved to protest for a beloved superintendent detained by ICE.
Was that one of the headlines?
That was NBC News headline.
Oh my God!
Several dozen
Sleepy
students
city.
gathered at the state capitol calling for his release, holding signs reading "Radical Empathy," a tagline he frequently used.
Oh my gosh!
I love that. During rush hour, people displayed a banner from a bridge over the interstate, reading "Free Dr. Roberts." Dozens of cars honked. And, when cars honk, you know it's a real cause.
No. And, that's showing your support. I'm willing to honk.
That was the main thing that happened in Nazi Germany. Yeah. When the SS would roll into town, there'd be a bunch of people honking in protest. And that's how you knew they were Nazis. There was a walkout of students. And then you had Jackie Norris, who is a former Michelle Obama aide.
Yeah,
she's kind of in the middle of this. She says... she wants to, it's fitting to take a page out of Dr. Roberts' book and ask the community to engage in radical empathy. They kept saying this over and over again. As we walk through this situation together, we do not have all the facts. During his time with our district, he has shown up in ways big and small. And that's definitely true. That one definitely.
That was true. First of all, I'm not sure he is a doctor. I mean, I know now what we have found out during the week is he played doctor a lot in many ways, in the, the way you play doctor and the way that you just I graduated from MIT. I got my doctorate here, and here. I mean, listen to the guy. Let's see here. His credentials. First of all, he was at the Sloan School of Management from MIT, got an MBA from MIT. Then he also attended Harvard and Georgetown. He got his doctorate degree from Baltimore's Morgan State University. And there was another one, too, I believe, that he went to. The deal, he didn't go to any of those schools. And he didn't have any of that. He came over from Ghana and was overstayed his visa, was here illegally. Under the Biden administration, he was ordered to be deported. Under the Biden administration. I mean, that's a pretty high bar you have to cross to be deported by Joe Biden. But he wasn't, because, they're not just going to go out and get this guy. I mean, and he was busy. He had a lot of things that he was working on. A lot of them seem to be women. He was up doing his DEI, school board thing in Pennsylvania. And apparently he was caught having sex with a female coworker on school property in his role as superintendent, who was being a bad girl. The people up in Pennsylvania described him as a sketchy figure and a pathological liar. And they felt that he had been hired there because of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, when he went to Des Moines, it's another, DEI. He became the DEI guy. And, people up in Pennsylvania said, I'm not sure he's a legal resident. And they ignored that because nobody wanted to see it. Up in Pennsylvania, nobody wanted to see because of DEI. Everybody was just like, when he went to Des Moines, same thing. He's a pathological liar. He just told This person that he's married and has 3 kids. This person he told he has no kids and he's not married. I mean, he's a pathological liar. He would lie about almost everything. But when they would bring it up, again, everybody in power would say, how dare you? Racist. I can't believe. They ignored everything that they had said. Okay? He hasn't been legally here since 2020. He was arrested by ICE on September 26th. Why? Well, because he knew he was going to be deported, and he was found hiding in bushes. Oh, my gosh, how degrading for him. How degrading for him. Well, the school-owned vehicle that he was driving contained a fixed-blade hunting knife. I'm not sure if he was a big hunter or not. A loaded Glock 19 firearm, and $3,000 in cash. Now, how did this illegal get a Glock? Especially since he had already been arrested in 2020 for possessing an illegal firearm. Did he not care about the law? Stu, did he not care about the law? Is that what happened there?
Some people are saying that, but in reality, we don't really know if it was an illegal firearm because since he was illegal, all firearms he would have would be illegal. There's no path to my, well, unless you're, I guess,
but
maybe in Gavin Newsom's California.
Is a legal firearm possessed by an illegal then because of the double negative? I'm not a school superintendent. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Does it cancel it out and suddenly everything is legal?
Yeah. That was one of those, PBS Scholastic songs about that. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
The double negative cancels your crime out. Yeah, I remember that song.
That's right. Yeah. Apparently, when he was up in Mill Creek as the superintendent up in Pennsylvania, he was caught having sex, blah, blah, blah. The school district was inundated, I'm quoting, inundated by lawsuits, forced to pay out over $400,000 in sex discrimination settlements because he was promoting less qualified women over more deserving men, apparently. That's part of it. And, I think the sex thing with everybody was also a problem. They were in the process of negotiating a $250,000 settlement with Melody Ellington because she apparently was fired for constructive discharge.
That
sounds like
not
something
real. That can't be real.
No, it sounds like something that you go see your doctor about. I think I have some constructive discharge here. Constructive discharge. I didn't know what that was. Had to look that one up. It applies to, I'm quoting, applies to situations when a resignation is involuntary. Okay. Resignation is involuntary. That means you're being fired, I think. When your resignation is involuntary due to a hostile or intolerable work environment.
Right. Well, it could be like getting pressured into quitting, right? I mean, I think the seeming accusation here is that he was trying to get rid of her for some other reason other than her job, which, again, considering all the other accusations against him, we can guess what this revolved around.
But does constructive discharge sound like some sort of PC thing that doesn't tell you anything?
Yes, it does. Yes. It just sounds like a bunch of nonsense. But if you think about it, it's like, you're getting rid of somebody for some reason that is, constructed, right? It's that, what was the term you used the other day? The false construct, and you were like, I can't listen to anybody.
Me being fired, my resignation is a false construct.
Right.
Yeah, that it is.
And by the way, that particular settlement, which was $250,000, a lot of money. I mean, you wouldn't want to hire someone who's in the middle of that. That was being settled right at the time he was getting the job in Des Moines. Like, it was in the middle of the settlement when he was like, I'm going to go to Des Moines and go to a bigger city and get a bigger job.
So my question is, how did he get this job? I mean, there is serious corruption in the vetting in Des Moines and, quite honestly, Mill Creek. Now, Mill Creek, this is the one up in Pennsylvania. Mill Creek said they followed a vetting and search process by a recruitment firm, Ray and Associates. And the recruitment company didn't respond to the request for, information from, journalists like us. But the school district said we received all clearances, including an FBI background check prior to Roberts serving as superintendent. No disqualifying events were identified. Okay. Well, that's weird because he had charges against him, of illegal possession of a firearm that you would think schools would go, oh, that is a problem. But here's the thing. Ray and Associates, now this may mean nothing, but methinks there's something rotten in Minnesota. This Ray and Associates that did all the vetting on this guy is from Minneapolis. And it just could be my bias on what's happening in Minneapolis and how Minneapolis is being run and how Minnesota is being run. So I don't know anything about Ray and Associates, but we will soon. We will be looking into them. It's just this whole system of corruption. How do you hire somebody like this? How do you clear somebody like this? The people in Des Moines, he shouldn't be the only one that's gone here. Who vetted him? Who hired him?
Well, I love the story of our friend Jackie Norris, because, if you remember, former Michelle Obama aide was out there saying, we need to show radical empathy. All this. Sure. And then all this stuff comes out and you think, okay, she's got to be, in hiding? She's probably resigned. Like, there's this really embarrassing.
They knew.
Well, what is she actually doing right now? She's running for U.S. Senate because, of course, she's running for U.S. Senate. Right? What better way to qualify you for a Senate run than this particular scandal?
None of this stuff matters to the left. None of this matters to the left. This is why you must be a merit-based society. Because if you're just going to say, well, DEI, he's good at DEI, which apparently he wasn't good at DEI. He's good at that. And you know what? We need a hire that has his, he's an immigrant. He's black. He apparently is very, very sexy. He's got all these degrees. Well, does he have all those degrees? Pathological liar. You just hired him because he's settling a lawsuit for sex discrimination and you still hire him. What is it? Because it doesn't matter. The crime doesn't matter. His past doesn't really matter. Whether he went to these schools or not doesn't matter because he's going to help us on this, the DEI thing. Until America comes to a place to where they can recognize this is all a sham and you actually have to have real standards based on real merit, this is going to continue to happen. And until people like Michelle Obama's, what is her name and what state is she running for?
In Iowa, Jackie Norris is her name.
And she's running for Senate in Iowa. In Iowa, you're going to get exactly what you deserve. Unfortunately, so will the rest of us because she's running for U.S. Senate. But you're going to get exactly what you deserve until you start saying, wait a minute. How did this happen? Who hired this person? And fire all of the people involved in this and fire all the people. There were teachers. There were people on the school board. Apparently, they were all saying, hey, something's wrong here. We should check into this. Those people should be elevated. And the people who told them, shut up and sit down, those people should be fired. That's what common sense Iowa people would have done when common sense actually existed. Does it exist in Iowa anymore? We'll see. Back in just a second. Fall hits, and every weekend you turn into a ladder athlete, having to do gutter duty while everybody else is living their lives. It's a bummer, and it's dangerous. But you could do something different. Get Leaf Filter. They install a stainless steel micro mesh that keeps out the leaves, the twigs, the debris, everything except the water, letting the rain pass through like it's meant to. No scooping, no wet gloves, no last-minute panic before a storm. Their technicians do a clean, professional installation. They tidy up when they're done, and they back the work with a warranty that lasts as long as you own the roof. So instead of spending your weekend on a ladder, Get the quiet that allows you to notice the things that matter, like sitting around on the couch doing absolutely nothing. That's one of my favorite chores that I have to do from time to time. Leaf filter. It lets your home do its job. Keep you dry, safe, and free from worry. Don't spend the season worrying about your gutters. Schedule your free inspection and get up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Glenn, leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. That is free estimate, free inspection, 30% off, leaffilter.com/Glenn Beck. See representative for warranty details. 10 seconds, station ID. Now we're also going to see what happens in a case in Washington, D.C. The guy Nicholas Rosk, you remember his name at all? He was the guy who tried to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh and then was going to kill everybody else. The judge is going to sentence him, okay? And the feds are asking for a 30-year prison sentence, and they're saying it has to be 30 years. You have to send a strong message. You can't mess around with threatening and trying to assassinate a Supreme Court justice. Does that make sense to everybody? Is that common sense to everybody? Anybody listening to me right now? Do you think, no matter which side it is, the person should be made example of? You should make it very, very clear you cannot attempt to kill a Supreme Court justice. Period. Right. Okay? I think we all agree on that. That's what the federal government is telling the judge to do. But the family is coming out because now, what was his first name? Nicholas. Nicholas is now Sophie. He decided when he got to prison or to jail and going through trial that he is suddenly a she. And so now he's using female pronouns. And the family members are pleading to just relinquish him to our care because, quote, Sophie needs therapy, relaxation, and the outdoors in order for him to ultimately thrive. She also, the sister, expressed fears about him being placed in a male prison with limited access to gender-affirming care. Placing Sophie in long-term incarceration would stunt her ability to thrive and severely impact her overall life trajectory. That's interesting. You know what it would have stopped Brett Kavanaugh's overall life trajectory? Your brother. Now, this is from Olivia Rosk, the gay sister of the attempted assassin. Sophie needs a balanced life and appropriate support from loving people, not incarceration. Luckily, she has many loved ones eager to show her support, and we need her home in order to provide that for her. Sophie has so much to offer the world. May I ask that you allow her to live that out fully? May I just suggest, if this judge decides to let her live this out fully in the open outdoors with her family, maybe we should talk about repealing the judge. I am hoping, but I have very little confidence, but I am hoping that someone on the bench in the District of Columbia doesn't agree with the family on this one.
This is Glenn Beck.
You have been taught that the equalizer in a dangerous moment is a gun. And yes, it is. Sometimes, if a gun is what you need, equalizers come in different forms. And one that will let you end a confrontation without escalating it beyond recognition by killing somebody may be the one that you need to reach for. That's where the Byrna launcher comes in. The original launcher changed the conversation by giving people a powerful, non-lethal option for home and personal defense. Something that looks and handles sensibly. It stops a threat without taking a life and is legal in all 50 states with no permit required. Now imagine that same stopping power in a slimmer package, the compact launcher. It carries the same principle. It's reliable. It's non-lethal force you can access fast, but in a design that fits in concealed carry, a smaller bag or a tighter toolbox or your purse. It is built for people who want the confidence without the bulk, want to be ready without compromise. If you want self-defense that factors in the aftermath as much as the moment, the Byrna launcher and now the new compact launcher, definitely worth your look. I think everyone should have one, honestly. I think if you have kids, at school, they need a Byrna launcher. ByrnaLauncher.com/Glenn. ByrnaLauncher.com/Glenn.
Get the free email newsletter at glennbeck.com. Sign up now. It's free. glennbeck.com.
Welcome to the Glenn Beck Program. There is a lot on our plate today. First of all, there's a fire at an oil refinery in California. Congratulations. That's going to make your gas cheaper. We're going to spend a few moments today on some really amazing good news that is happening. Also, the Riyadh Comedy Festival. That's driving me out of my mind. But I'm just going to relax a little bit, take a few deep breaths, and we'll get into it. And the fact that the shutdown is happening, why it's happening, what the truth is behind it. Will Donald Trump actually gut crazy left-wing programs during it? I'm going to give you all of that information coming up in just a few minutes. But there's a couple of other things that are going on. First of all, we have a podcast out today. And if you're on Blaze TV or you're a member of my YouTube channel, it'll be there for you. Wherever you get your podcast tomorrow. But Jonathan Haidt is, I think, one of the most honest searchers for actual data points on what is happening in our society. He is a society scientist, behavioral scientist, social psychologist, and he's been studying what's been happening to us. And he was really a firm Democrat back in the mid-2000s. He was not a fan of mine. And he started to study what's happening. Why are people like Glenn Beck doing this? And so he decided to actually watch and then listen to my show. And he did. And then he started listening to others. And he said, I broke through my understanding because of you, Glenn. He talks about this in this podcast. He said, because of the language that you use, you said things differently than other people. And he said, I understood. Wait a minute. I think I'm wrong. I may not agree, but this movement on the right is not what I think it is. Okay. And that he wrote after that. What was the name of that book that he wrote that was so good? Do you remember, Stu?
Yes. The Righteous
so
Mind. Yeah.
The Righteous Mind.
Right. Yep.
And he talks about how language is different and is separating us, but we might be saying many of the same things. He's been studying all kinds of things, including for the last 10 years. He's really been focused on what's happening to our kids. And he now has a huge body of evidence that it is social media and our phones. And you can't give your kids a smartphone. You can't. I wish I had this information and all of the data to back it up. There are schools now that are banning smartphones, banning all phones, really, all during school. This has to be done. You cannot give your kids a smartphone until at least 16 or 17 years old. They can't be on social media. And we talked about the where is all of this anxiety coming from? Where is all of this coming from, and the depression and everything else? Can you give me some of the facts? Listen to what he said.
Our kids moved their social lives onto social media platforms around 2012, 2013, and the results have been completely disastrous. So I've been assembling the evidence for this because I'm arguing there's some other psychologists say, no, there's no evidence of harm. No, it's just a correlation. Correlation doesn't prove causation. And I'll just to tick down the evidence that social media is bad for our kids. The first thing is that the kids themselves say that. When you survey high school kids and college kids and kids in their young people in their 20s, they're not grateful for this. They say this was really bad for us, but I had to stay. I couldn't quit because everyone else was on it. We have testimony from the parents. Parents know their kids. They almost universally hate this stuff. They don't see it helping their kids. We have confessions from the perpetrators. We have all kinds of documents, leaks, reports that came out in lawsuits where we hear them talking about all the harm they're causing and all the things they're doing to cause addiction. These platforms are designed to grab our kids' attention and never let go, because if they let go, it's going to go to their competitor. There are correlational studies, there are experimental studies, there are so many different studies that all point to a degree of harm. So I think now that the case is pretty much closed. The argument that, oh, well, we just don't know, we need to gather more information. That was a tobacco industry playbook decades ago. And Meta, social media, especially Meta, they're literally copying the tobacco playbook. I mean, a lot of people have written about this. So I think this is, I was about to say evil, but we've talked about that. Yes. You know what? It's an evil industry in the same way that you were talking about. Look, the people who work there, I'm not saying are evil, except for maybe a couple of the leaders who know what they're doing. But the companies, especially TikTok, Meta, and Snapchat, those three companies are harming children at an industrial scale. We're not just talking like a few hundred kids. We're talking literally tens of millions are harmed and thousands are dead. So I do think that this is having a very pernicious effect on society, on children.
So, and I want to get into, real world and virtual world and what it's doing to our kids. But let me jump forward here for a second. Have you thought about what does this mean for this generation in 30 years?
Oh, yes. I think a lot about that. So here's the way to think about it. Human development is really complicated, and kids need a lot of experience in the world. They need to make lots of mistakes and learn from them. And then especially during puberty is a time when the brain is changing very, very fast. It's rewiring from the child to the adult form. And so if in puberty, kids are not out there having adventures and flirting and getting embarrassed and getting in arguments if they're not out there having real world experience, it's going to prevent the neurons from wiring up in a healthy adult way. So we really have to look at puberty, at say roughly 10 or 11 through 16 is the most sensitive period of all. And if kids are growing up online, originally we thought, well, maybe it'll be great for them, checking in with 100 friends a day instead of just 2 or 3, maybe that'll be good, but it isn't.
It is, it's remarkable. He wrote this book called The Anxious Mind. I think it came out 2 or 3 years ago, and it is fabulous. It is, forget Dr. Spock and all that crap. You're raising a kid. This is the book you should be reading. Okay. This has all of the facts, everything about social media, everything about our devices and our phones that you need to know. And we have the time. Back in 2010, we didn't have any reason. It was just a grand experiment. The experiment's been done. We now see the results. And do you like them? Do you like them? Our kids are so fragile. They shatter at anything right now. Look at what's happening with the shooters. Look at what's happening with the Transtifa, if you will. Look at all of the results. I am convinced that we will have more and more shootings from desperate, crazy people because they don't know how to deal with anything. They've never been required to deal with anything. They've never had anything push up against them. In the real world, it's all been this bogus world of virtual reality. And he makes a very strong case that this has got to stop. And he talks about regulation of the internet. And I am not one for regulation, nor is he. But when it comes to our kids should not have access to these things. They should not have access. It's as harmful as cigarettes, as he said. It's as harmful as, just binge drinking at 12 years old. It's not going to end well. Just not going to end well. So you get this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Is available right now at Blaze TV, but you can also get it tomorrow wherever you get your podcast. Jonathan Haidt on anxiety and social media. And we start with Charlie Kirk. I took him to places he wasn't expecting to go, but we had a really great conversation about what's happening in our society. What is causing this? How do we fix this? And, here's a guy who studies this for a living and said, if we don't wake up right now and start paying attention and start fixing the things that need to be fixed, and neither of us agree on politics. And it's really, I think, it's a tough conversation. The first 20 minutes is kind of a tough conversation because you want somebody on the other side to go, yeah, you're exactly right. I see it the same way. I don't see it his way. He doesn't see it my way. But we have a conversation on how did we get there? How, and what needs to happen? And I don't further the conversation with him because I didn't want it to be just about this. But we model the kind of conversation that has to happen in all of our homes with all of our families to be able to get there. And it's just a really healthy conversation.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to this one. And I think, too, it's really important for parents, particularly if you're in that age where you have kids that are going through between that 10 to 16 type of age, where if you think about how social media affects kids, right? We talk about it all the time with shootings, right? We talk about it with all the really negative things, suicides and all these terrible things. So often what happens is that kids get into these groups in social media. They're influenced by these small, quirky, weird groups, strange beliefs, like people encouraging them to hurt themselves, people telling them they're not good enough, they're ugly, they're worthless, all of these things, and it encourages them to go down these dark roads. I would encourage parents who are in the middle of this situation in particular to listen to this podcast, to read Jonathan Haidt's book, The Anxious Generation, to follow Jonathan on social media, because it's important for you to be immersed in a community that understands the risks here. I think it's really easy when you're talking to your kids who you love, and they're telling you how much they need their phone, they need social media, they need all these things. It's understandable to give in, right? It's really easy to give in. And for a long time, as you point out, Glenn, we didn't have the data. Your family became the data, right? Like that's it is a.
I've seen the result.
Yeah, it's really, really hard. But if you immerse yourself in this community with a lot of people, and there are tons who really understand this data and believe that kids shouldn't have this, and you start building a community around you with other parents that go to your school that also are doing the same things, this stuff becomes a lot easier. It's a lot easier to understand and justify that you're not doing harm to your kid by not giving them social media. The exact opposite. You're protecting them. You're protecting them from something is bad.
So it's really interesting because we knew that it wasn't a good idea, but the school was demanding that everybody have devices. At the time when we were going to school with our kids, they had to have devices. They had to have a smart tablet or whatever, and it would be regulated. Now, kids can get past all of that stuff, okay? And we were told also that kids, they've got to have a smartphone with them. They have to be able to, do all this stuff. No, they really don't. They really don't. And our kids, when we said, no, we don't want you to have it, Mom and Dad, we are an absolute pariah. Well, I don't really care. And we held out for a little while, not long enough, but we held out for a little while. We gave them access. They didn't have, a computer of their own, but we would give them occasionally my iPad, or, they would have the iPad after they got into school. They had to have the school's iPad. And they were exposed to stuff that we didn't realize you could access because we didn't really understand how bad it was early on. I'm talking 2010, 2011, 12, okay? We know now. We know. The entire world is at their fingertips. They are exposed to some of the most vile, worst things possible, and it changes them, and it hardwires. He talks about how boys are hardwired now with porn, and how they're going to be able to have sex in a normal, healthy relationship is, beyond him, because all these things have now been hardwired into this generation. If, like Stu, you're now just entering the real puberty and the real dangerous age where everybody is getting onto social media and everything else, Stu's doing it the right way, because he has the information now. You're trying to. I know you're not. Yeah, you're trying. But I mean, you are ahead of where we were, because we didn't know what to do. We had never faced it.
Right.
We didn't know what it was. We know now. And it's so dangerous. And Jonathan has all of it outlined in Anxious Mind. If you are a parent, and your kids are under 16, before you make any move on phones or social media, anything, read The Anxious Mind. You must read it.
And before you do that, you should know the title. It's The Anxious Generation.
Sorry,
it was
The
The
Anxious
Righteous
Generation.
Mind.
Righteous Mind.
Both of them are worth reading, but it's The Anxious Generation on the phone stuff.
Yep. And you can watch the podcast. It's available now on Blaze and everywhere, wherever you get your podcast tomorrow. Okay, let me tell you about our sponsor. Our sponsor this half hour is Z Factor. Your dreams have been missing you. I know, it's true. Well, you've been tossing and turning every night, desperately wishing you could just catch a little bit of rest. They've been sitting in the lobby, checking their watch, wondering, are you going to come back? Because we got a great one planned for you tonight. And I have no doubt you're missing the dreams as well. Listen, if you're going to bed and you spend most of the night staring up at the ceiling, if you have gotten to a place where you're like, I hate bedtime, I really hate bedtime because I'm just going to toss and turn, why go to bed? Z Factor might be the simplest and best answer for you. Please try this. It's a doctor-formulated sleep support from the makers of Relief Factor. You take it every night. This is not something that you take when you're having a hard time sleeping. You take it every night before you go to bed, and it gears your body into doing what it's supposed to do, gently easing you into sleep, letting you sleep longer, deeper, so your body can restore itself. Okay, this is no trick. This is working with your body. 46% savings now for first-time Z-Factor buyers. Get it at ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 1-800-4RELIEF, ReliefFactor.com. It's Z-Factor.
Keep your powder dry and your conscience clear. This is Glenn Beck.
We have a ton to discuss. The Riyadh Comedy Festival is on the top of my list. Then Kim Jong-un, who has now made breast implants punishable by death. The National Guard is being deployed in Portland, and so now there is an emergency naked bike ride that is planned this weekend to protest, and the Egyptian wrestler that can pull a boat and a train with his teeth. He says he's, got this special gift, and I don't know, we might all have that gift. I've never tried.
Is Glenn Beck.